Welcome to part 5 of my presentation on the Humble Project Management Toolkit for better results in an uncertain world, in which I talk about the compartments of the toolkit itself, beginning with H for hesitate to encourage reflection. Using the tools in the toolkit cannot remove uncertainty, but they do provide a way of thinking and managing that helps us to make sense of this uncertainty. However, these tools are not a magic bullet, so following this approach does not come with any guarantees. But I feel that at the very least, it offers us resources that can help us become more responsive to the realities of this world, rather than ploughing on with a simplistic and unrealistic management framework. The Humble Project Management Toolkit comprises of 6 interacting compartments: hesitate to encourage reflection, understand the project's ecosystem, manage in alignment with the project's ecosystem, bring in diverse perspectives, learn constantly, and embrace uncertainty. The toolkit's compartments do not form a linear sequence, but rather serve as an aid memoir to remind us of the need to take certain actions throughout the lifetime of an intervention. Although the exact nature of the actions chosen will depend on the situation, the sequence has been used because it combines to produce the mnemonic humble, and humility is at the heart of all the approaches advocated. For example, it is humble to state up front that success is not guaranteed. It is humble to understand that the project is only one among many factors in the system, and it is humble to acknowledge that change is not a one-way street, with all the expertise and answers flowing from the project to the so-called beneficiaries. H is for hesitate, to encourage reflection. A hesitation or a pause allows you to step back from the daily deadline-driven dramas to see the bigger picture and act in a more resourceful way. You are probably all familiar with the scenario portrayed in this image, when you are caught on the treadmill of being extremely busy but apparently getting nowhere. Many people would say that this is a modern-day phenomenon brought on by the accelerating pace of change, but perhaps it has been like this throughout our history. If this cartoon is to be believed, even our caveman ancestors had problems taking time out of their busy days to appreciate the benefits that could accrue from doing something differently. As you can see, our friend has just invented the wheel, but his colleagues feel that they are too busy to take time out to reflect on how much more efficiently they could move their rocks about using new technology. There is a decision-making process I like to use that encourages reflection. It's called the RAP process. The RAP process has been developed by authors Chip and Dan Heath and is detailed in their excellent work Decisive: How to Make Better Choices in Life and Work. By the way, this process applies to significant decisions such as hiring and firing, organisational restructuring and strategic partnerships, not whether to buy a cappuccino or a herbal tea. W stands for widen your options. So instead of fixating on a single course of action, it is good to investigate a range of options. Instead of either-or solutions, it might be possible to go for and both solutions. And it is always useful to look at the potential for win-wins rather than win-lose options. R stands for reality test your assumptions. Will a practice successfully implemented in one situation work in another? Can a novel approach be piloted in a new situation, so that you can learn from what does and does not work? Are there others who have undertaken a similar approach, with whom you can consult on the pros and cons of the proposed action? A stands for attain distance before making a decision. This includes the time-honoured reflective practice of sleeping on it, because things will always look different in the morning. A technique I learned via the Heath brothers is the 10-10-10 rule invented by business writer Susie Welsh. 10-10-10 invites us to imagine the effects of our decisions at different points in the future. What will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes, in 10 months, or in 10 years? This is an excellent way to force us to attain distance when considering our options. P stands for prepare to be wrong. Practically all management books talk about the importance of learning from failure, yet our egos and the culture of many organisations do not make it easy for us to admit that we have made a mistake. Our individual and collective egos can collaborate to ensure that we keep throwing time, energy and resources into a project long after we should have bailed out, causing us to act in a manner more befitting of a desperate gambler than a prudent decision maker. But help is at hand, and there are some tools and techniques that help us to know when to fold them, in the words of Kenny Rogers. Setting checkpoints to remind us to assess project progress to date is a useful way to help us see if things are working or not. A checkpoint could be when the project has spent a certain amount of money, for example $50,000, on a certain activity, or 6 months from now when a progress review is taking place. These checkpoints trigger an assessment when the decision to carry on, quit or modify an activity will be taken. A technique I use when undertaking risky actions is bookending, which involves estimating best case, upper bookend, and worst case, lower bookend, acceptable scenarios. If things get worse than the worst case, then it could well be time to bail out. In the next part, I outline approaches we can use to understand our project's ecosystem and to manage in alignment with this ecosystem. See you soon.